Hey y'all, Vikki
Hey,
in the car. I got my girl
made it
Tasha.
I am in the car.
In the car. Y'all know how long it took me to get her in the car.
Because I'm nervous.
We here. Hey,
Lord.
no, come on. It's
I
open.
trust you.
Real life conversation.
Real life conversation. I'm going to be as real can get.
Because she real.
I am real.
Alright, so I'm going to try something new with a little icebreaker. So, Martin or Fresh Prince?
Oh, Fresh Prince.
Me too.
Girl,
Most
yes.
people would say Martin, but
He was corny to me.
the whole
I'm about to lose friends. He was corny to me.
No, so okay, me too.
Yeah.
Fresh Prince. Alright, so we're gonna jump right in. You sing in the band.
I do sing in the band.
You sing in the church.
I do sing in the church.
And you are a believer.
I am a believer.
How do you feel about a openly gay woman or man singing in the church?
That's a good one. I am a firm believer in not judging anyone, right? So if you are gay and that's the life that you choose to live, I think you should still have the right to know the Lord. If you're a believer and you believe that gay is a sin, because some people, that's what they believe, no shade to anyone, they just get to wear their sin differently. I don't think anyone should not be able to worship because of what they're doing. In fact, I feel like the worshiping will bring you closer, and if you end up convicting yourself, if that's what you would say. I don't have a problem with anyone. I think that you should be able to do whatever you want to do, whatever your heart desires, but it is up to the establishment to determine how they want their church to be seen.
Right.
But I feel like if we are loving people like we're supposed to, then we're supposed to love through their sexuality, through whatever that is. So I think if it was my church, let them sing, let them flourish.
I like that because I feel the same way, but a lot of Christians think gay people shouldn't be serving. They shouldn't be the face of the church. They shouldn't be serving, especially not on a platform like that where you're ushering people into worship. But
that's just because they get to wear their sin. I say that lightly, differently. There's people that can sing that do things that they shouldn't do, but we don't get to see it. So I think it's unfair, but I'd certainly understand if the church decides not to. Like, that's the establishment's how they want to be perceived. Me personally, I love everybody, and I think God loves everybody, and I think if Jesus was still walking on this earth, he'll still speak to that gay person and still invite them into worship.
Yes, and let them work. Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool, I like that. So, when did you know God was real?
Oh, child, I knew God was real early. But oh God, I grew up in a church. My grandfather was a pastor. My grandmother stood an overseer. I'm very heavily in the church, and I knew God was real a long time ago. Yeah. But when did I start like really following God?
Yeah, once like this is.
I think it was once I realized that it wasn't. I grew up in an environment where following God was like, you have to do this, and if you do anything else, then you can't follow it. Almost like back in the day, it made it seem like if you was going to be a fully God follower, then you couldn't go bowling, you couldn't go to the movies. Like, it was very strict. Wow. How I grew up. So it always made you feel like there was a choice. But I knew God was real, like way back when, because there were some things that would happen as a young girl that was like, this, I couldn't have done this on my own. You know what I mean? Like getting promotions and getting things that I know that I prayed for, you know, that I knew this just couldn't have just been man that did this. It had to be someone else that put me in this position. So I knew God was real a long time ago. You want an age? Out the womb. Amen.
Amen. I like that. All right, so I saw somewhere where 3.5% of the family gets saved if the child gets saved first. 17% if the wife gets saved first. And 93% if the husband gets saved first. Do you agree with that?
I feel like yes, I do. Because, well, the roles are changing a little bit, respectfully, where the women are not leading in the aspect of being the man, but there are more women that are following and going to church, and then the family comes, right? So I can only speak on my experience. Khalid is one of the reasons, my son, so I guess we're in the, what was the kid, 16?
3.5.
Yeah, Khalid is one of the reasons why I came back to church, to specifically I-5. because he loved it so much, right? And then I started to love that he loved it. So I'm in that 3.5%.
Right.
So yeah, I think so. I think if you're a woman that's with a man and your man's going to church every Sunday, it's a lot easier for you to get up and get dressed and go.
Right.
And if a woman is going to church and your man doesn't, then they may not get up and go. They might have fun, babe, because that's just the environment. But yeah, and since the kids don't drive, that percentage is absolutely
right. So why do you think the husband percentage is higher? Because we're like women are more like to
submissive.
follow, like
we're more submissive, we're more
man.
follow. Absolutely. I mean, depending on how you were raised, you submit to your husband, and if your husband decides to go this way, most of the time the women just naturally goes because we're looking for that leadership. There's not. It's not been taught that the woman is to dictate that. So I think that's probably why most women go where the husband goes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. So speaking on those lines, so do you think it's possible, like if you're dating, that the woman is further along in her faith? Do you think it's possible for that relationship to work?
Yes. Because I'm one of those women, even though my husband knows the Lord. Absolutely, because I forget what sermon it was, but we are the light, right? It's the same situation if you're in an environment at work and they're not around a whole lot of Christians, but you're a Christian, then you have to be the light.
Right.
So I think that if you're dating someone who's not necessarily where you are spiritually, I don't think you should shut them down. I think there's certain things you got to lay down. Like, do you know the Lord? Do you love the Lord? Are you a believer? Right? Okay, great. If you have those 3 bullets, then I think by me being the light in the relationship, I'm going to end up bringing you to church at some point.
Right.
But if you're dating someone who just doesn't believe in God and would never go to church, and that's where your heart is, then you might be setting yourself up for failure. But as long as they're willing and open, and I feel like if you're a good woman and you do a great job of being a light for your man, eventually he's going to wonder, like, why is she so amazing?
Right.
Where's his heart coming from? And they're going to recognize that the only thing's missing from maybe other women that they dated or themselves is being in an environment amongst worshipers. And then they'll want to come too.
At one piece. Now, some Christians, they think that if the man is not where you are, or not even like attending church regularly or praying, like he might pray, or like they feel like the relationship is unequally yoked, and that you really shouldn't you shouldn't go there.
Listen, I can only speak on my experiences. I feel like yoke is independent, right? I do know that the Bible speaks on certain things, but I know in each individual can determine and knows what they can handle, right? And so one of the reasons why I know God is real is because a lot of times people call it the sixth sense, right? Yeah. I call it the Holy Spirit that will tug on you. You know when you're supposed to fall out. You know when this is just not, he's a thug. He's probably not going to make it to church. You know that, right? But you keep going. And I think that it's all individual. I feel like, listen, my husband didn't grow up in a church, but we sure enough got married in a church. And we did a Christian wedding because we knew specifically, he knew my faith was we wasn't going, this is what I believe in, and him as well. So I don't know. I don't know if I can agree 100%.
Right.
But
so there's potential. There's potential for that person. So
I feel like just like when we go out and be the hands and feet of the street, and we see people that are drug addicts, right? We want to touch them and bring them in so they can know a new life.
Right.
And so I'm not saying, women, please wait. Let me take that back. Don't go out and find a drug addict and try to make him your husband, but to each his own. But I'm saying you do have the opportunity to be the God in your household, to be the God in a relationship, and if you do what you're supposed to do, naturally their souls will be convicted and they're going to want a piece. So I don't think you should run away necessarily.
Right. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's been a thing for me. So last question, how often do you pray for your husband?
Oh, shit. If I was in a car right now, I'd be praying for my husband. All the time, for multiple reasons. One, he's a black man. That alone is a bullet to just pray unceasingly. Like, just pray. But I just pray in general that I just pray for him. You have to, because, one, just because your husband or man isn't coming to the church house don't mean that they ain't praying themselves, right? But I feel like not only do I pray for my husband, I pray for my son, I pray for my friends' husbands, I pray for my husband's friends. I am constantly praying for the man because it is such a difficult world for them, not only because they have to go through so much, but us women are becoming way too powerful, and it makes it difficult for the man to really stand. Right. So I pray that they still recognize who they are in general. So I always pray for my husband. I pray that my mouth didn't irritate him so much. I pray for so many things for that man, because I'm an angel, I am a saint, but it gets real in the household sometimes. So I pray that pray for him all the time.
Wow.
All the time.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Aww. Tasha,
that's all you got? I was nervous to get in this car. That's all you got?
That's all. I told you it was gonna be good. Good stuff. Awesome. I appreciate all those answers was great.
Awesome.
That was good. So.
I'm just glad we didn't have anybody back here that just shut me down. All right.
Everybody, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time. I'll be ready for him. I have my boxing gloves.
Everybody. That's probably what everybody's thinking. They looking for
who's gonna be back here? I don't want no problems.
No, we all good. Well, everybody, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. Vikki in the car.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be up in here next week?
Bye.
Hey guys, it's Vikki in the car. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sharing. If you haven't been sharing, you need to be sharing. It's super easy. You can just copy the link in the bio, send it out, or you can even share from YouTube on the video. So please make sure you share.